It's Big Board Sports with Roger Ryland on 104.5 The Team.
And a few minutes with Freddie Coleman here from ESPN, as always on the Friday, but it's Wednesday. We're acting like this is a Friday show, a football-filled Friday, as we will be off tomorrow and Friday here on Big Board Sports. But Week 12, and boy, some great games tomorrow. Freddie, good morning.
Good morning, Roger, and happy early Thanksgiving to you and your family, by the way.
Hey, same to you and your family, Freddie. Thanks for everything you do here on our show, and certainly you give back so much, and you have so many great fans of yours here in the Capital Region. We appreciate a few minutes. Of the three tomorrow, is there, to me, like these three games tomorrow are some of the best matchup of the entire card.
Yeah, you could not ask for a better Thanksgiving Day lineup where you have Minnesota, Detroit early, Washington, Dallas in the middle, and then Pittsburgh and Indianapolis at the end, where so many playoff implications, even though we still have a ways to go before we get to the playoffs in the NFL, that can really maybe shape and define the fourth quarter of the season. Because you look at Minnesota, they get that win last week to stop that bleeding. Detroit's been a great surprise. We know what a great surprise Dallas has been. And you could say the same thing about Washington because people wondered if they were a one-trick pony from last year. Indianapolis playing this game potentially without Andrew Luck, which means Scott Tolzien will take over quarterback, and the Steelers have been scuffling along. So many intriguing things and storylines in each of these games. It may be the best Thanksgiving lineup that we've seen in a long, long time.
Do you have a favorite of those three?
Washington, Dallas, because of the rivalry. I don't think there's any doubt about that, especially, as I mentioned, a Dallas story with Dak Prescott. This has become his team without any doubt about it. Ezekiel Elliott, what they've been able to do. For my money, Raj, I think the MVP of the National Football League so far has been the Cowboys' offensive line. And if I could give that to a position, I would, because so many things happen because of them, and so many good things have happened for the Cowboys because of that offensive line. And then you add on the other side with Kirk Cousins showing people that, yeah, he could be a solid quarterback and more than a solid quarterback in the NFL. And Washington still hot and bothered at what happened game 2 this year where they lost to the Dallas Cowboys. I think that game will be the best game of the three, and I think that game has the most intrigue outside of the other two.
Hey, it's drawing headlines here as soon as Todd Bowles said Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter against New England at MetLife on Sunday. What's your take now on the latest with the Jets quarterbacking situation?
Can I use the word exasperation? Yeah, I think I will use that in this standpoint because, and believe me, I get it. Todd Bowles is an old school guy. He learned under Bill Parcells and people like that you never put it out there that the season is over. But let's be honest with the New York Jets, whether it's their present or their future, Roger. Their present involves that, okay, we got to go out there and try to win as many games as we can. But how much are you harming your future by not finding out what you have in Bryce Petty? Or maybe they have a good idea what they have in Bryce Petty, and they know that's not going to get any better. But I don't think he's going to get any better sitting on the sidelines, being behind Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, he's been unflappable when he found out the news, and I give him a lot of credit for not raising a stink about this whole thing. But if I'm Bryce Petty, I'm thinking, okay, I got a one-game audition to see what I could do. That's not enough an audition to show what I can or cannot do for this Jets organization. But exasperation and even frustration, mainly because that Ryan Fitzpatrick is not going to make things any better, in my opinion, but yet they believe that they can keep running him out there because they still feel they have a pulse in the playoff race, which they clearly don't in the AFC.
Freddie, what does a Thanksgiving at the Coleman household look like? Any traditions? What are you guys up to tomorrow?
I think we're traditional from the standpoint that we'll have the usual, you have the turkey, you have the stuffing, you have the sweet potato pie and all those things. I think the one of the traditional things we do that's central to our family is that when people gather around, they're not just gathered around the football games. They're also gathered around the dinner table, and they stay at the dinner table and have conversations. And more often than not, the men will gravitate towards the football games later on in the day. And then the women take over and have what we call the war council table, where they sit around and they have conversations all over the place. So we're traditional in that standpoint, but we have a lot of untraditional things that not just friends and family come over, but we talk about so many different things that are outside of what we're thankful for, what we want to see and what we hope to happen. So we have tradition and non-traditional things that we do in the Coleman household.
Time with Freddie Coleman here. He's with us every week, and we're up to week 12 of the NFL season. And I think I asked you last week, do you think the Giants are Super Bowl contenders? They hang on to beat Chicago. Pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. Running the ball a little bit better now. They're going to win this week against Cleveland. Then they go to Pittsburgh, and then they got Dallas on December 11th. What's your thoughts on this Giants team? You have them in the mix still?
I still have them in the mix mainly because they're not unlike anybody else in the NFL. Any team that is going to try to get into the playoffs or they have championship aspirations, they have a flaw that could keep them from making a playoff run. For example, you look at the Patriots. I worry about their defense now, and can they get key stops, especially in the red zone? I look at the Dallas Cowboys. Can their defense continue to play at the level that we've seen so far, which has been consistent and better than anybody could have anticipated? With the Oakland Raiders, are they too young to realize that once they get into the playoffs that the pressure is going to increase? The New York Giants have the same flaw in terms of I worry about their offensive line, not just so much with the running game, but providing competent and better protection for Eli Manning, who's been terrific despite that lack of protection, consistent protection from his offensive line. So I don't put them out of the mix in anything. I still think they have a worthwhile shot of winning the NFC East because the schedule will get tough for them after Cleveland, but it's going to get a lot tougher for Dallas, where they have Philly, Washington, along with the New York Giants, part of the final part of the season, along with Tampa Bay, which is an improving team. So I think, honestly, with the Giants, because they're not too far away and they're right in the mix, I give them as much of a chance as anybody in the NFC, whether it's Dallas, whether it's Seattle, because we've seen this before. When you don't talk a lot about them, you undervalue the Giants, and then all of a sudden you look up, they have a Super Bowl run, and they're breaking hearts of Patriots fans all over the New England area in the country.
Hey, one more, I'll let you go, Freddie. My partner's a huge Buffalo Bills fan, and we're up to week 12, and we're still talking about Buffalo and playoffs in the same sentence. They're home against Jacksonville on Sunday.
Yeah, you should, because Buffalo, but here's the deal with Buffalo now. I don't think anybody anticipated that the Miami Dolphins would be on this great run, number one, and now you have a three-headed monster in the AFC West, where you got Denver, Kansas City, and Oakland, and it would not surprise me if all three of those teams make the playoffs, which means that if you're Buffalo, you're not winning that division, so you're going to have to hope for a lot of help. But there's still a lot of games to be played, and the way Buffalo's been able to play now, employing that running game, getting a little better defensively, although I think they still give too many big plays for my taste. But they believe, and I think that's something we did not see earlier in the season. They're not just playing for the job of Rex Ryan or their jobs. They're playing because they believe they can win and that they can get into the playoffs. And that's one of the more remarkable things that Rex Ryan and that team has been able to do to get them to this point.
Freddie Coleman, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Really appreciate a few minutes each and every week, and look forward to our next chat next Friday here on Big Board Sports.
My pleasure, Roger. Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving, not only for you, but also my great family in the Capital District.
No doubt, Freddie. Thank you very much. That's Freddie Coleman. We really enjoy his insight and visits every week here on Big Board Sports.